The Velvet Shoal Part 1, The Assignment. The room was cold and dark. Only a single blue light hung above the metal table, sat on one side, sat on the other. Between them lay a folder marked with red lines. Those lines meant danger. Those lines meant death. Was an old man now. His hair had turned white from years of war and secrets. He had trained when she was just 20 years old. Now she was 32 and she had become his best agent. She could speak 12 languages. She could kill without sound. She could lie without blinking. 3 fleets, said slowly. 3 Terran fleets destroyed in 6 months, 10,000 soldiers, gone. Did not move. She had learned long ago to hide her feelings, but inside her blood turned hot. Those were her people. Those were humans. The attacks were too perfect, continued. The enemy knew exactly where our ships would be. They knew our routes. They knew our plans. Someone is giving them information. A traitor said. Yes, a traitor, and we believe he is. There were aliens. They had blue-gray skin and 4 eyes. They stood taller than humans and lived longer too. For 50 years, humans and had fought together against the Dominion Empire. The Dominion wanted to control all of space. They had destroyed dozens of worlds. They showed no mercy. But now, someone in the leadership was helping the enemy. Pushed the folder across the table, opened it. Inside was a picture of a male in a military uniform. He had medals on his chest and a calm smile on his face. Admiral said, he commands the diplomatic flagship called the Velvet Shoal. He speaks kindly about humans. He calls us friends. But every time he visits a Terran sector, our ships get attacked soon after. Studied the picture, looked friendly. That made him more dangerous. The best liars always looked honest. What do you need me to do? She asked. Infiltrate the Velvet Shoal, find proof that is the traitor, then get out alive. Close the folder. When do I leave? Tomorrow. She nodded once and stood up to leave. At the door called her name. Be careful. If discovers you, he will not show mercy. You will disappear and we will never find your body. Looked back at him. Her eyes were steady. Then I will make sure he never discovers me. 2 weeks later stood at the boarding gate of a transport ship. She wore simple gray clothes. Her hair was tied back. She carried only a small bag. To anyone watching, she was just a translator, a cultural worker sent to improve relations between humans and. Her fake name was Park. Her fake job was linguistic specialist. Her real mission was to find a traitor and stop him before more humans died. The transport docked with the Velvet Shoal 3 hours later, stepped onto the massive ship and felt its power under her feet. The Velvet Shoal was beautiful. Its halls were wide and clean. Blue lights glowed softly from the walls. Officers walked past in neat uniforms, speaking in low voices. A female met her at the entrance. She was tall with dark blue skin and 4 silver eyes. You are the human translator, the female asked. Yes, I am here to assist Admiral's diplomatic staff. The female studied her for a long moment, then she nodded. Follow me, I am Tal, I will show you to your quarters. Followed Tal through the ship. She memorized every turn, every door, every security camera. This was how she worked. She collected details like other people collected coins. The Admiral is busy today, Tal said. You will meet him at dinner tonight. He enjoys speaking with humans. I look forward to it, replied politely. Tal stopped at a small room and opened the door. Inside was a bed, a desk, and a window showing the stars outside. Rest now, Tal said. Dinner is in 4 hours. When Tal left, locked the door and searched the room carefully, she found no listening devices, no hidden cameras. She was safe for now. She sat on the bed and closed her eyes. Somewhere on this ship was evidence of betrayal. She would find it. She had to. That evening, entered the great dining hall of the Velvet Shoal. The room was filled with officers and a few other alien diplomats. Long tables held strange foods. Music played softly from hidden speakers. At the center of it all sat Admiral. He was larger than he looked in pictures. His uniform was perfect. His 4 eyes were bright and intelligent. When he saw, he smiled warmly and waved her over. "Ah, the human specialist," said in perfect Terran language. "Welcome to my ship. Please sit beside me." Bowed politely and took the seat next to him. Up close, she could see the details of his face. His skin was smooth. His movements were graceful. He smelled like expensive flowers. "Tell me," said, leaning toward her, "what do you think of culture?" "I find it fascinating," said. "Your people have a rich history." Laughed, "You are kind. Most humans find us strange." "Difference is not strangeness, Admiral. It is simply variety." His eyes flickered with interest. "Well spoken. I think I will enjoy having you aboard Park." Throughout dinner, watched and listened. She noticed how touched his communication device often. She noticed how he whispered to a hooded figure at the end of the table. She noticed how his smile never quite reached his eyes. Near the end of the meal, spoke to the hooded figure in old dialect. Most translators did not know this language, but did. "The shepherd's next offering is prepared," said quietly. The hooded figure nodded and left the room. His heart beat faster, but her face showed nothing. She knew those words were code. She knew that offering meant human lives. Later that night, alone in her room, she sent an encrypted message to Admiral is the traitor. I need proof. I will continue. She deleted the message from her device and stared out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, human soldiers were waiting to die in a trap they did not see coming. Would not let that happen. The Velvet Shoal Part 2, The Dance of Shadows. Days passed slowly on the Velvet Shoal, worked hard to make herself useful. She translated documents. She helped with diplomatic meetings. She smiled and bowed and said all the right words. Slowly, the officers began to trust her. Admiral trusted her most of all. He invited her to more dinners. He asked for her advice on human customs. He laughed at her careful jokes. To everyone watching, they were becoming friends. But never forgot why she was really there. Every night she explored the ship. Every day she watched and listened. She was collecting pieces of a puzzle that would destroy. One person did not trust her. His name was second in command. He was a large with dark gray skin and cold eyes. He had served for 15 years. He was loyal to the Admiral like a guard dog, and he watched like she was a threat. "You are very eager," said one morning. He had cornered her in a hallway. His 4 eyes studied her face. "Most humans do not like working on ships, yet you volunteer for extra duties. Why?" Kept her expression calm. "I believe in the alliance between our peoples. I want to help make it stronger." "Or perhaps you have other reasons." "What other reasons could I have, Commander?" Stepped closer. He was much taller than her. His shadow covered her completely. "I do not know yet, but I am watching you, human." He walked away without another word. Let out a slow breath. Was dangerous. She would need to be more careful around him. That afternoon, found an excuse to explore the lower levels of the ship. She told the guards she was looking for cultural records. They let her pass without question. The Admiral himself had approved her access to most areas. The lower levels were darker and colder. The walls were metal instead of polished stone. Fewer officers walked these halls, moved quietly, checking each door she passed. Then she heard something, a voice, human. She stopped and listened. The voice was weak, but she recognized the language. It was Terran. Someone was speaking Terran in a section of the ship that should hold only cargo. Followed the sound. She came to a heavy door marked with warning symbols. The words said restricted area in language. She should not go inside. She went inside anyway. Behind the door was a small prison block. 3 cells lined the wall. 2 were empty. 1 was not. Inside the 3rd cell sat a young man. He wore torn Terran military clothes, his face was bruised, his eyes were hollow and tired. But when he saw, something flickered in those eyes. Hope. "Who are you?" he whispered. Looked around quickly. No guards, no cameras that she could see. She knelt beside the cell bars. I am Terran Intelligence. What is your name, soldier?" The man stared at her like she was a dream. "Minu, Sergeant Minu. I was captured 4 months ago when my ship was ambushed. They kept me alive for information." 4 months. Felt sick. This man had been tortured for 4 months while she sat in meetings and ate dinner with his captors. "Did you tell them anything?" she asked gently. Minu shook his head. His jaw tightened. "Nothing, they broke my bones, they burned my skin, but I told them nothing." Felt pride for this man she had just met. This was what made humans strong. They could suffer and still refuse to break. "I cannot free you right now," she said honestly. "If I do, my cover will be destroyed. But I promise you, Minu, I will come back for you. I will not leave you here." Minu grabbed the bars with thin fingers. "Please, whatever you are doing here, finish it, stop them." "I will." She slipped a small pill through the bars. "Take this if the pain becomes too much. It will help, but hide it well." Minu nodded and tucked the pill into his torn sleeve. For the first time in months, he smiled. Left the prison block quickly. Her heart was heavy, but her mind was sharp. She had found something important, was not just selling information. He was keeping human prisoners. This was another crime to add to his list. That night she could not sleep. She lay in bed and stared at the ceiling. She thought about Minu in his cell. She thought about the 3 destroyed fleets. She thought about the thousands of humans who had died because of betrayal. Part of her wanted to act now. She wanted to kill with her bare hands. She wanted to burn his ship to ashes. But she was a professional. She knew that killing would not stop the information leak. Someone else would take his place. The only way to end this was to find solid proof. Proof that could be shown to the government. Proof that would destroy not just but everyone who helped him. So she waited, she watched, she played her role. Days later, invited her to help translate during a private meeting. She agreed eagerly. This was her chance to get closer. The meeting was held in his personal office. The room was large and beautiful. Maps of star systems covered the walls. Models of famous ships sat on shelves. Met with 3 diplomats. They discussed trade routes and patrol schedules. Translated carefully, making small errors now and then to seem less perfect. After the meeting, asked her to stay. "You did well today," he said. He poured 2 drinks and handed one to her. "Most translators make many mistakes. You are different." "Thank you, Admiral." "Tell me, do you believe in our alliance? Truly believe?" Looked into his 4 eyes. They were calm and friendly. But she saw something else behind them, something cold. "I believe that humans and are stronger together," she said carefully. "Our enemies want to divide us. We must not let them." Smiled, "Well said. You are wise for your age." He turned away to look at his star maps. Used that moment to study his desk. She saw papers, data pads, and a small device that pulsed with green light. That device was important. She was sure of it. "You may go now," said without turning around. "I have work to do." "Of course, Admiral. Thank you for the drink." She left his office slowly, memorizing every detail. The device on his desk, the locked drawer on the left side, the security panel near the door. She would need to return to this room. She would need to see what secrets it held. But first, she would need to find a way past. The commander was watching her more closely now. He followed her movements. He questioned her choices. He was getting suspicious. Knew that time was running out. Soon would find an excuse to remove her from the ship, or worse. She needed to move faster. She needed proof. And she needed to keep Minu alive long enough to rescue him. The game was becoming more dangerous, but was not afraid. She had trained her whole life for moments like this. She was human, And humans did not give up. The Velvet Shoal Part 3, The Revelation. The diplomatic reception was loud and crowded. Hundreds of guests filled the grand ballroom of the Velvet Shoal. Officers wore their finest uniforms. Alien diplomats showed off expensive clothes and jewelry. Music played, drinks flowed. Everyone laughed and talked. For this was the perfect opportunity. She moved through the crowd like a ghost. She smiled at officers. She bowed to diplomats. She made small talk and laughed at jokes, but her eyes were always watching. Her mind was always planning. Admiral stood at the center of the room. He was surrounded by important guests. His voice was loud and confident. He was enjoying himself too much to notice anything else. Slipped away from the crowd. She walked calmly toward the private corridor that led to his office. 2 guards stood at the entrance. "I am going to prepare documents for the Admiral's speech," she said politely. "He asked me to have them ready by midnight." The guards looked at each other, then one of them nodded. "Make it quick." Walked down the corridor. Her heart was beating fast, but her steps were steady. She had maybe 15 minutes before someone came looking for her. His office door was locked with a security code. Had watched him enter it during their last meeting. She typed the numbers carefully. The door slid open. The office was dark except for the stars shining through the large window. Closed the door behind her and moved quickly. She went straight to the desk. The small green device was still there. She picked it up and studied it. It was a recording device but heavily encrypted. She could not access it directly, but she could do something else. From her pocket she pulled out a tiny chip. It was a listening device made by Terran Intelligence, the most advanced technology her people had. She pressed it against the bottom of his chair. It stuck there like a second skin. No scanner would find it. Now she would hear everything that happened in this room. She put the green device back exactly where she had found it. Then she opened the locked drawer on the left side of the desk. Inside were data pads, personal letters, and a small black box. The box was sealed. Did not have time to open it safely, but she photographed everything with a camera hidden in her ring. She would study the images later. Voices came from outside. Someone was coming. Closed the drawer and moved to the bookshelf. When the door opened, she was pretending to read a history book about military victories. Walked in. His 4 eyes found her immediately. They narrowed with suspicion. "What are you doing here?" he demanded. Looked up calmly. "The Admiral asked me to prepare notes for tomorrow's speech. He wanted me to understand military history better." She held up the book. "I found this very helpful." Did not believe her. She could see it in his face. But he had no proof that she was lying. "The Admiral did not mention this to me," he said slowly. "Perhaps he forgot. He has been very busy with the reception." Walked closer. He stopped right in front of her. His body blocked the only exit. "You are always in places you should not be," he said. "You ask too many questions. You volunteer for too many tasks. I think you are hiding something human." Met his eyes without fear. "I am hiding nothing, Commander. I am simply doing my job well. Is that a crime?" For a long moment, neither of them moved. The tension in the room was thick enough to cut with a knife. Then stepped aside. "Get out now." Walked past him without looking back. She kept her pace slow and steady until she was back in the crowded ballroom. Only then did she allow herself to breathe. The listening device was planted. Now she just had to wait. She waited 3 days. During those 3 days she recorded many conversations. Most were ordinary, military reports, diplomatic discussions, personal complaints about food and sleep. Then, on the 3rd night, she heard what she was looking for. Was alone in his office. He activated his secure communication device. A voice answered. It was not, it was Dominion. "Admiral, your payment has been deposited as promised." "Excellent," replied. "I have new information for you. The Terran Fifth Fleet will be at the Sentinel coordinates in 4 days. They will be refueling and vulnerable. It is the perfect opportunity. How many ships? 47 warships, 12 supply vessels, approximately 8,000 crew. 8,000 humans. Felt cold fury rise in her chest. 8,000 people that was selling like cargo. The Dominion thanks you for your loyalty, the voice said. When the war is over, you will rule as governor of the outer systems. Just make sure the attack is successful. No witnesses. Understood. Glory to the Dominion. The communication ended. Sat in her quarters, staring at the recording device in her hand. She had it. She had proof. Admiral was a traitor. He was selling human lives for power and money. And in 4 days, he would murder 8,000 more. But had a problem. She could not transmit this recording from the Velvet Shoal. The ship's security systems would detect any outgoing signal and trace it back to her. She would be captured before the message even reached Terran space. She needed to escape. She needed to deliver this evidence in person. And she refused to leave Minyu behind. That night visited the prison block again. Minyu was weaker than before. His breathing was shallow. His skin was pale. They questioned me again today, he whispered. I think they are tired of waiting. They might kill me soon. No, said firmly. We are leaving the ship tomorrow night, both of us. Minyu stared at her. How? I have a plan, but I need help. She looked around carefully, then leaned closer. There is an officer named Tal. I think she suspects too. I am going to trust her. That is dangerous. Everything is dangerous now, but we have no choice. She squeezed his hand through the bars. Be ready, Minyu. Tomorrow night we run. The next morning found Tal in the ship's garden area. It was a quiet place where officers came to think. Tal stood alone, looking at a hologram of a planet covered in flowers. Beautiful, said, walking up beside her. It was mine, Tal replied softly. Before the Dominion destroyed it 30 years ago, I was just a child. Felt sympathy for the woman. They had more in common than she had realized. Tal, I need to tell you something important, something dangerous. Tal turned to look at her. Her silver eyes were serious. I have been watching you, human. You are not really a translator, are you? No, I am not. Then what are you? Took a deep breath. This was the moment of truth. If she was wrong about Tal, she would die, but she had no other choice. I am a Terran intelligence officer, and I have proof that Admiral is selling human fleet positions to the Dominion. Tal was silent for a long moment. Her face showed no emotion. Then slowly she nodded. I have suspected him for months, Tal said quietly, but I had no evidence. Tell me everything. She told her about the recording, about Minyu, about the attack planned in 4 days. When she finished, Tal's hands were shaking, not with fear, with anger. Has betrayed not just your people, but mine as well, Tal said. The Confederacy stands against the Dominion. That is our law, has broken everything we believe in. Will you help me? Tal straightened her spine. Her eyes burned with cold fire. Yes, I will help you escape, and I will help you destroy him. The Velvet Shoal Part 4, The Escape. The ship was quiet at midnight. Most of the crew was sleeping. Only the night guards walked the empty halls. This was the time had been waiting for. She stood in her quarters, dressed in dark clothes. She had hidden weapons under her jacket, a knife on her belt, a small pistol on her ankle. She was ready for anything. A soft knock came at her door. She opened it carefully. Tal stood outside. The woman wore a simple uniform with no rank marks. In her hand, she held a security card. This will open the prison block, Tal whispered. I stole it from the guard station. We have maybe 30 minutes before someone notices. That is enough, said. Let us go. They moved through the ship like shadows, led the way. Tal followed close behind. They avoided the main corridors and used service passages instead. Twice, They heard guards walking nearby. Both times they pressed against the walls and held their breath until the footsteps passed. The prison block was on the lowest level of the ship. Only 2 guards stood at the entrance. They were talking and laughing. They did not expect any trouble. Looked at Tal. "Can you distract them?" Tal nodded. She stepped out into the open and walked toward the guards. Her body language was casual. Her voice was calm. "Commander wants a security report immediately," she said. "Both of you need to come to the bridge." The guards looked confused. "Both of us? That seems strange." "Are you questioning Commander's orders?" The guards exchanged nervous looks, then one of them shrugged. "Fine, let us go." They walked away with Tal. When they turned the corner, moved. She reached the prison block door and swiped the security card. The door slid open silently. Inside, the cells were dark. Ran to Minu's cell and swiped the card again. The bars clicked open. Minu looked up. His eyes were wide. "You came." "I told you I would." She helped him to his feet. He was weak, but he could walk. "Stay close to me. We are getting off this ship." They left the prison block just as Tal returned. The woman was breathing hard. "The guards will figure out the lie soon," Tal said. "We need to hurry." The 3 of them ran through the service passages. Their destination was the shuttle bay on the port side of the ship. Tal knew the fastest route. She led them through narrow tunnels and down metal ladders. They were almost at the shuttle bay when the alarm started. Red lights flashed. Sirens screamed. A voice came over the ship's speakers. "Attention all crew, there has been a security breach. The human prisoner has escaped. Seal all exits. I repeat, seal all exits." "They know," Minu said. His voice was tired but steady. "They are looking for us." "Then we move faster," replied. They burst into the shuttle bay. It was a large room filled with small ships and transport vehicles. Guards were already running toward the exits. In a few seconds, they would be trapped. "There," Tal pointed at a small shuttle near the far wall. "That one is fast. It has weapons." They ran toward it, heard shouts behind them, then the sound of weapon fire. A plasma bolt flew past her head. She felt the heat on her skin. "Get to the shuttle," she shouted. "I will cover you." She pulled out her pistol and fired back at the guards. Her shots were accurate. 2 guards fell. The others took cover behind cargo boxes. Minu and Tal reached the shuttle. Tal opened the door and pushed Minu inside. Then she turned back to help. More guards were coming, counted at least 10, too many to fight. She fired 3 more shots and then ran. Her legs burned. Her lungs screamed for air. But she did not stop. She reached the shuttle and jumped inside. Tal was already at the controls. The engines roared to life. "Hold on," Tal shouted. The shuttle lifted off the ground. The hangar doors were still closed. Guards were shooting at them from all directions. Plasma bolts struck the shuttle's shields. "We cannot get out," Minu said. "The doors are sealed." Looked at the control panel. The shuttle had 2 small missiles. She smiled grimly. "Open the missile bay," she said. Tal understood immediately. She pressed the buttons. 2 missiles launched from the shuttle and flew toward the hangar doors. The explosion was massive. Fire and metal flew everywhere. The doors were gone. Tal pushed the engines to full power. The shuttle shot through the burning hole and into open space. Behind them, the Velvet Shoal was waking up. Fighters launched from other hangars. Defense cannons turned toward the escaping shuttle. "They are following us," Minu said, watching the screen. "Can we outrun them?" asked. "Maybe, but not for long." Tal's hands moved quickly over the controls. "I am sending a distress signal on Terran frequencies. If anyone is nearby, they will hear it." A plasma bolt hit their shields. The whole shuttle shook. "Shields at 60%, Tal reported. "We cannot take many more hits." Sat down at the weapons station. She had never operated weapons before, but she figured it out quickly. She fired back at the pursuing fighters. One of them exploded in a ball of fire. "Good shot," Minyu said weakly. More bolts hit them. The shields dropped to 40%, then 30. "We need help," Tal said. "We are not going to make it." Refused to give up. She fired again and again. Another fighter went down, but more were coming. The Velvet Shoal itself was turning toward them. Its main cannons were powering up. Then suddenly, a new voice came through the radio. "Unknown shuttle, this is captain of the Terran warship Crimson Dawn. We received your distress signal. Help is on the way." Felt tears in her eyes. She had never been so happy to hear a human voice. "Crimson Dawn, this is Agent. I have vital intelligence about enemy movements. We need immediate extraction." "Understood, hold on, we are coming." Seconds later, a Terran warship dropped out of hyperspace. The Crimson Dawn was beautiful. Its hull was red and silver. Its weapons glowed with blue power. It was not the biggest ship in the fleet, but right now, it looked like the most wonderful thing in the universe. The Crimson Dawn opened fire on the fighters. The shots were precise and deadly. 3 fighters exploded immediately. The others broke formation and retreated. "Shuttle, move toward our hangar bay. We will cover you." Tal flew straight toward the Terran ship. Plasma bolts flew around them, but the Crimson Dawn's shields protected them. They entered the hangar bay and landed hard. The shuttle door opened. Terran soldiers rushed inside. "Agent." "That is me," stood up on shaky legs. "This is Sergeant Minyu. He needs medical attention immediately. And this is Tal. She helped us escape. She is a friend." The soldiers nodded and carried Minyu toward the medical bay. Tal followed slowly, looking around at the human ship with curious eyes. Walked to the bridge. Captain was waiting for her. She was a tall woman with short black hair and hard eyes, but when she saw, those eyes softened. "You made it," said. "I have the evidence," held up the recording device. "Admiral is planning to attack the Fifth Fleet in 3 days. We need to warn them, now." Took the device and immediately began transmitting. Within minutes, the message was racing through space toward Terran Command. Behind them, the Velvet Shoal was retreating. It knew it could not fight a Terran warship alone. But knew the battle was not over. It was just beginning. The Velvet Shoal Part 5, The Reckoning. The message reached Terran Command in 4 hours. Admiral, the leader of the Fifth Fleet, read the intelligence report 3 times. Then he gave the order. The Fifth Fleet changed course immediately. 47 warships and 12 supply vessels turned away from the Sentinel coordinates. They moved to a new position in deep space, far from where the Dominion expected them to be. The trap was empty. Meanwhile, aboard the Crimson Dawn, watched the stars through the observation window. She had not slept in 2 days. Her body was exhausted, but her mind could not rest. Captain walked up beside her. "The fleet is safe," said. "Your intelligence saved 8,000 lives." Nodded slowly. She should have felt happy, she should have felt proud, but all she felt was tired. "What about?" she asked. "We transmitted the recording to the Confederacy High Council. They received it 6 hours ago." Paused. "There have been developments." Turned to look at her. "What kind of developments?" "The government is in chaos. Many officers on the Velvet Shoal have turned against. They heard the recording too. We sent copies everywhere," smiled grimly. "Right now, Admiral is facing a mutiny on his own ship." On the Velvet Shoal, everything was falling apart. Commander stood on the bridge, his weapon pointed at Admiral. Around them, loyal and disloyal officers faced each other with hatred in their eyes. "You betrayed us," said. His voice was cold with anger. "You betrayed the Confederacy. You betrayed everything we believe in." Laughed. It was a bitter, ugly sound. "The Confederacy is weak. The alliance with humans was always a mistake. The Dominion will win this war. I simply chose the winning side. The Dominion destroyed worlds. They killed billions, and you helped them. I helped myself. That is what survivors do. His hand shook. He had served for 15 years, he had trusted him, he had respected him, and it was all a lie. "Commander," a young officer said, "the High Council has ordered Admiral's arrest. What should we do?" Looked at the Admiral who had taught him everything, the leader he had followed across 100 battles, the traitor who had sold innocent lives for power. "Take him to the cells," said finally. "He will face justice." Guards moved forward to grab. The Admiral did not resist. He simply smiled that cold, empty smile. "This changes nothing," said as they led him away. "The Dominion will still win. Humans are temporary. Weakness is temporary. Only power is forever." Watched him go. Then he turned to face the remaining crew. "The Admiral is no longer in command. I am taking temporary control of this vessel. Our mission now is to prove that the Confederacy stands with humanity, not against it. All loyal officers report to your stations. We have work to do." The officers saluted and moved to obey. The mutiny was over. The healing could begin. Far across space, the Dominion fleet arrived at the Sentinel coordinates. 20 warships dropped out of hyperspace, weapons ready, hunters eager for blood. They found nothing. No Terran fleet, no easy targets, just empty space and distant stars. The Dominion commander was furious. Their intelligence had been perfect. The attack should have been a massacre. Instead, it was a failure. Worse, they soon received reports that the Confederacy was arresting suspected Dominion spies. Their entire network was collapsing. Years of careful work, destroyed in a single day. The Dominion fleet retreated. They had lost. 3 days later, the Crimson Dawn docked at the Terran station called Outpost 7. Finally allowed herself to sleep. She slept for 16 hours straight. When she woke up, was waiting for her. He sat in a chair beside her bed, looking older and more tired than she remembered, but his eyes were warm. "You did good work," he said quietly. Sat up slowly, her body ached everywhere. "The mission is complete." "More than complete, is in custody. He will face trial for treason. The Dominion spy network in the Confederacy has been exposed, and the alliance between humans and is stronger than ever." "What about Menu?" "Sergeant Menu is recovering in the medical bay. The doctors say he will make a full recovery. He asked about you. He wants to thank you personally." Smiled, that was good news. Menu deserved to live. He had suffered enough. "Intel." "The officer, she has been granted asylum in Terran space. She is working with our intelligence teams now, helping us understand military codes." Paused. "She speaks highly of you." Thought about Tal. They had only known each other for a few weeks, but they had trusted each other with their lives. That created a bond that was hard to break. "She is a good person," said. "She chose honor when it was dangerous to do so." "That is rare," agreed, "in any species." He stood up and walked to the window. Outside, stars filled the darkness like scattered diamonds. "The war is not over," he said. "The Dominion is still out there. They are still strong. This was one victory, but there will be many more battles to fight." "I know. Are you ready to keep fighting?" Thought about the question. She thought about everything she had done, the lies she had told, the danger she had faced, the weight of carrying so many lives on her shoulders. It was hard, it was painful, sometimes it felt impossible. But then she thought about Minu, alive because she did not give up. She thought about 8,000 soldiers who would go home to their families because she finished her mission. She thought about all the people who would never know her name but would live because of what she did in the shadows. "Yes," she said, "I am ready." Nodded and handed her a new folder. Inside was information about another mission, another threat, another enemy hiding in the darkness. Read the first page. Then she closed the folder and looked up at her commander. "When do I leave?" "Tomorrow." She nodded. That was enough time to visit Minu. Enough time to say thank you to Captain. Enough time to look at the stars one more time before diving back into the shadows. Later that day, stood on the observation deck of Outpost 7. Tal came to stand beside her. The woman looked different now, calmer, more at peace. "I never thanked you properly," Tal said. "You trusted me when you had no reason to. That was brave. You helped me when you could have stayed silent. That was braver." They stood in comfortable silence for a moment, watching the stars. "What will you do now?" asked. "Help your people fight the Dominion. Help rebuild trust between our species." Tal paused. "Broke something important. It will take time to fix it." "But it can be fixed." Tal looked at her with silver eyes. "Yes, I believe it can, because there are people like you and me who are willing to fight for it." Smiled. It was a small smile, but it was real. "Then we will fight together." Tal extended her hand, a human gesture she had learned, took it. "Together," Tal agreed. The stars burned on in the endless darkness. The war continued. The threats remained. But humanity had proven something important. They were small. They were young. They lived short lives in a vast and dangerous galaxy. But they did not give up. They did not break. They faced the darkness with courage and cunning, and they won. That was what made humans special. That was why they would survive. And in the shadows, agents like would keep fighting, keep watching, keep protecting. Because that was what humans did. They endured.